the problem statement. Here, two processes with process IDs P1 and P2 with estimated completion time 8 millisecond and 6 millisecond respectively enters the ready queue together. A new process P3 with estimated completion time 7 millisecond enters the ready queue after 5 millisecond. Another new process P4 with estimated completion time of 3 millisecond enters the ready queue after 8 milliseconds. So here, how the processes are entering into the queue. So the two processes P1 and P2 with estimated completion time of P1 is 8 millisecond and P2 is 6 millisecond. They are at initial stage. Okay, they enter first in the ready queue. Once the processes are going to occupy the ready queue, what the scheduler is going to do? The scheduler is going to schedule the processes for execution based on the technique. So here the scheduler is going to begin with once the process arrive in the queue. So first P1 and P2 are going to occupy the location in the ready queue. Okay, once P1 and P2 arrived, immediately the scheduler is going to schedule based on the technique and it is going to start executing one by one based on the respective algorithm as per the technique. Then here what we are going to observe, some processes are going to enter in the middle. Okay, once the process execution is going to start by the system, some processes are going to enter in the middle. So as per the problem statement, P3 enters at 5 millisecond with the completion time for this unit is 7 millisecond. So P3 has 7 millisecond to complete, but it enters at 5th millisecond. Then another new process, that is P4, has completion time of 3 millisecond. It enters on the system execution time. It is at 8 millisecond. When system is running at 8th millisecond, P4 enters with completion time of 3 millisecond. So this one is the problem statement what it is asked, and it is asked to calculate waiting time, turnaround time, and average of both timings using 3 different task scheduling techniques. First one is shortest job first, SJF technique. Second one is round robin technique. In the round robin technique, we need to go for what? As per the algorithm, each process has equal time slice. Okay, equal time slice. Even though it has a variation in the completion time, but each process is going to split into number of time slices. So round robin technique, considering the predefined time slot for each process is 2 millisecond. Then the third technique, what it is? The priority based technique. Here, what is the condition? Here, each process has a priority. Okay, so here they have mentioned P1 is equal to 1, P2 is 0, P3 is 3, and P4 is 2. So the hierarchy, higher priority to lower priority goes from 0 to above 0. Okay, the priorities are assigned, considered as 0 is the highest priority. So whatever the next number comes above 0, it goes as lower priority. So here we are going to observe P1 is 1, P2 is 0, P3 is 3, and P4 is 2. Okay, and here we are going to assume, as per the basic scheduling technique discussion, all processes are only CPU operations, no IO operations. Let us go for first technique. How we need to solve that problem using this preemptive SJF scheduling or SRT scheduling, that is called as shortest remaining time. So let us go for this one. Here at the beginning, there are only 2 processes available in the ready queue with completion time P1 equal to 8 millisecond and P2 equal to 6 millisecond. So as per this technique, here the scheduler is going to sort all queue contents based on their completion time. Which one is less? It is executed first. Which one is more time to complete? It will be executed next. Okay. So here by comparing these two processes at the beginning stage, P1 has 8 milliseconds, P2 is a 6 millisecond. Obviously, the processor or the system is going to execute beginning from the shortest remaining time, which one is P2. Okay. So the SRT scheduler picks up the process with the shortest remaining time for execution completion for scheduling. Obviously, it is P2 first, P1 next. So here we are going to observe P2 is the schedule for first for its completion time 0 to 6 milliseconds. Then comes P1, which is going to execute for 8 milliseconds after completion of P2. By queue content, you can clearly observe the thing. Let us go for the next here. So we observe that this is the initial condition of the system for executing each process. Now, as per the requirement, new process P3, which has 7 milliseconds, enters the ready queue after 5 milliseconds of start of execution. Means it enters at this stage, where the execution of the system is at 5th millisecond. So what is going to happen? Whether P2 is going to continue its execution or it is going to be pre-emitted. It is going to stop temporarily, allowing P3 to execute. Which one is going to happen? P2 is going to continue or P3 is going to stop P2. Let us go for that statement. Yes, here P2 won't be preempted. P2 won't be preempted because the execution time of new process, P3 is more because P3 is having 7 milliseconds. So what is the time left for P2? It is only 1 millisecond. So P3 complete execution time is more compared to P2. So P2 will not be pre-emitted. So it is going to continue for execution. P2 is going to continue for its execution and completing its process. Hope you got the concept. Why P2 is not preempted? Because the completion time left for P2 is only 1 millisecond, but execution time for new processes P3 is 7 milliseconds. Comparing these two times, P2 is less. P3 is more.
Agree.
Hence, P2 is going to continue its process, not completion. Obviously, after P2, what is going to happen? New process is already arrived at the 5th millisecond. So the scheduler sorts the queue and P3 is allocated to execute. Why? Because comparing once again the completion time, P3 is having 7 milliseconds, P3 is having 7 milliseconds, and P1 is having 8 milliseconds. Now, once the completion of P2, once again the scheduler is going to check what are the execution time left with remaining processes. P1 is more compared to P3. Therefore, P3 is allocated to execute. So what is going to happen? P3 is going to start executing for remaining its completion of time, 7 milliseconds. Then what about next? After P3, P1 is scheduled. So after completion of P2, by taking 6 milliseconds, the next 7 milliseconds are allocated for P3 and remaining 8 milliseconds are allocated for P1. Next, according to the requirement problem statement, another new process P4, which has the completion time of 3 milliseconds, enters the ready queue after 8 milliseconds of start of execution. So here I may guess here it comes at in this position. Here in this position, another new process enters P4 in the ready queue with execution time of 3 milliseconds. Now, how much time is left for P3 to complete at 8th millisecond? At 8th millisecond, at this time period. So, how much time is left for P3? P3 is for 7 milliseconds. So, 8th millisecond, it has begun its time at 6 milliseconds. So, 8th means it is only 2 milliseconds are over for P3. Still 5 milliseconds are left to complete its complete process. So which one is more time, P3 or P4? At 8th millisecond, P4 enters with a completion time of 3 milliseconds. But at that time, the current process, that is P3, the current process P3 is executing with remaining time of 5 milliseconds here. The remaining time is how much? It is 5 milliseconds because the 2 milliseconds already over. Remaining is 5 milliseconds. At that time, what is going to happen? You can observe here. Here, P3 is executing at 8th millisecond. At that time, P4 enters. Now, which one is more time to complete? P3 or P4? Is anyone interested to answer? P3 or P4?
P3 takes more time
P3 takes
to
more
complete,
time.
sir.
P3?
P3 takes 5 seconds, no, so it is preempted and P4 completes first.
Yeah. Yes. So as we observe, this is a shortest remaining time. Which one has less execution time? That is given. That is going to be executed. Even though the current it is running, the concept is what? Pre-emit means stop temporarily. How on what algorithm? The which process has less completion time. So comparing P3 and P4, P4 is going to get the execution task. So hence P3 is preempted and P4 is scheduled for execution. So P4 is going to continue its execution to finish. So what we are going to observe here. So P3 is preempted at 8th millisecond. Then P4 is going to start executing for its completion. That is totally 3 milliseconds. After that, which one is once again there is a reschedule. P3 is there, P1 is there. P1 is for 6 milliseconds and P3 is there for 5 milliseconds. Which one is going to be scheduled next? P1 or P3?
P3, sir.
P3, because after 3 milliseconds of scheduling, P4 terminates and now the scheduler again, you can observe here, again sorts the queue based on remaining time for completion of the process. So P3 is left with 5 milliseconds and P1 has 8 milliseconds. Therefore, P3 is once again rescheduled for execution. So we can observe here P3 is rescheduled for execution for remaining time period. So it is going to start its execution at 11th millisecond and it is going to complete its process at 16th millisecond. So after 16th millisecond, the P1 is going to schedule for execution and it is going to start executing and complete its task at 24th millisecond. That is overall duration of 8 milliseconds. Okay. Hope you got how to resolve the issue. So this one is the overall system performance about all 4 processes. So total time required, it is 24 milliseconds. Yes, the system took 24 milliseconds only, but how the processes are executed in different splits. based on preempting technology. Now, here the concept is about we need to analyze it for calculation of waiting time, turnaround time, and average. So let us go for that overall process execution schedule. P2 first, then P3, and it is preempted by P4. Then, after completion of P4, once again P3 is rescheduled. After the completion of P3, P1 is completed its task. Now go for the calculation of waiting time. So by seeing this one, we can observe, we can calculate how much each process is going to wait. We can have this table. So process P2, waiting time is 0 because process P2 is arrived first in the queue and it is not at all waited for any process to complete. So it is beginning at the 0th millisecond and it is going to complete completely. Okay, it is going to take its own time to complete its process. So it started at its scheduled time. That is the comment. So P2 took 0 millisecond to complete or waiting. What about P3? So by observing here, P3 has a waiting time because it is 2 times it comes in the execution part. P3, it started its execution at 6th millisecond. You can observe in the image, P3 started its execution at 6th millisecond. But when it is arrived according to problem statement, it is arrived at 5th millisecond. It is arrived here. But due to the system performance, it is the execution time, it is rescheduled for it. P3, it is started at 6th millisecond, but arrived at 5th millisecond. So what is the waiting time then? So waiting time is the difference of both. So you can observe here, P3 arrived at 5th millisecond, but waited for P2 to complete. So the total waiting time, it is 6 minus 5, that is 1 millisecond it has waited to completion of P2. It is first thing. Second time also it has waited. When it has waited, P3 is preempted by P4 and has to wait till the completion of P4. Has to wait till the completion of P4 to get next CPU slot. So what is the waiting time then? It is started at 11th millisecond and it is preempted at 8th millisecond. So what is the total time duration? It is nothing but the execution of time of P4. What is the execution of time of P4? It is 3 milliseconds. Or you can go for the time slots itself. It is 11 minus 8. It is 3 milliseconds. So what is the overall time period for waiting by P3? It is 4 milliseconds. 4 milliseconds it has a waiting time. Okay. Then what about P4? P4 has any waiting time? No. The time when it is arrived, at that time only it is started executing. You can observe in the image itself. So P4 enters at 8 milliseconds and it is going to start its execution at that time only. So what is the waiting time? It is once again 0. Now go for what about P1? By observing in the image, P1 has waited for completion of P2, P3 and P4. P1 is going to start its execution after completion of P3. So after completion of P3 is nothing but 16th millisecond. So P1 has waited for 16 milliseconds. Its turn comes at 16 milliseconds. So what is the overall waiting time? The total waiting time by all the processes in the scheduler, it is 20 milliseconds. 20 milliseconds. So on an average, each process has to wait minimum. So average waiting time, it is 20 divided by number of processes 4, which is equal to 5 milliseconds. Minimum waiting time for any process, it is 5 milliseconds. It has to wait. Why the calculation of this average time? Because we are going to observe in the CPU time slot, some processes, they may have maximum completion time, but due to the required time to complete, it may be less. So what is going to happen? Any process may complete its process before the completion of execution time. Hence, we are going to have this calculation of average waiting time. Minimum how much time any process has to wait. If any waiting condition comes, wait time comes. So minimum it is 8 milliseconds. Then we need to calculate another calculation. It is when the process is going to complete its process. At what time? At what time of the system it is going to complete its process. So that is known as turnaround time. So the turnaround time, it is calculated as like this. So here the simple method to calculate this one is only two things you need to have. One is what is the waiting time plus execution time. That's it. Waiting time plus execution time is the total time taken to complete its process. We can observe P1. P1 is nothing but what? P1 is the process when it is going to complete. It is going to, in the graph, it is going to say 24, but it is not 24. But we need to calculate it. How we need to calculate? It is based on this mathematical expression. That is nothing but what? How much time it has waited plus its execution time. So by having these two, this sum, we can easily calculate what is the turnaround time. So let us go for one by one process. P2, how much time it is going to take to complete its process. By observing this, let me clear all the. Okay, go for this one. Here it is P2. How much time it has taken? Obviously, it has taken 6 milliseconds. So the completion time, that is turnaround time, is 6 milliseconds for P2. What about P3? What about P3? P3, it got 2 time slots. So we can judge how much time it is taken by considering only one. We need to calculate both. So considering what? The two values, what is the waiting time plus execution time? So what is the waiting time for this one? It is P3 has 4 milliseconds. It has waited plus execution time is 7 milliseconds. So overall it is how much? 7 plus 4, it is 11 milliseconds. Then what about P4? P4, what is the waiting? 0. What is the execution time? 3 milliseconds. So overall answer is 3 milliseconds. What about P1 then? What about P1? Yes, P1 has waiting time of 16 milliseconds plus its execution time, that is 8 milliseconds. So it is 16 plus 8, it is 24 milliseconds. So what is the total turnaround time by the system? It is 44 milliseconds. So 44 milliseconds. So if you go for average it is 11 milliseconds. 44 divided by 4 it is. So any process may complete its process within 11 milliseconds. Okay, average, due to maybe some processes are going to complete immediately. So based on that rough calculation, the average turnaround time it is about 11 milliseconds based on this SRT technique. This is SRT technique. Next, if we go for round robin, if we observe the same situation, problem statement, how we can solve? By using round robin method. So here we just go for round robin method. Here two processes with the, once again we begin with the fresh. It is the two processes with the process IDs P1 equal to 8 milliseconds, P2 is 6 milliseconds, and the predefined time slot it is given as 2 milliseconds for each. 2 milliseconds for each. So how many time slices for P1? It is 4 time slots. Means it is split into 2 milliseconds, 2 milliseconds, 2 milliseconds, and 2 milliseconds. 4 slots. What about P2? 3 slots. So round robin, nothing but first P1, then P2, P1, P2, P1, P2 like that. Predefined time slot of 2 milliseconds. It is the beginning stage. Okay, so the scheduler sorts the ready queue based on the first come first serve policy. So scheduler picks up the first process P1 from the queue because P1 enter first, P2 next. Okay, so P1 from the queue and execute it for the time slice of 2 milliseconds. So you can observe in the image, the P1 is executed for 2 milliseconds. After that, once again, it is a round robin. Equal time slot is for each and individual process. After that, when the time slice is expired, the P1 is pre-emitted and P2 is scheduled for a okay, when P1 is preempted by P2 after 2 milliseconds. So you can observe that one. And the time slice is expired by for P2, it is preempted and P1 is again picked up for execution with time slice of 2 milliseconds. Okay. Now, according to problem statement, a new process T3, which is equal to 7 milliseconds, enters the ready queue after 5 milliseconds of start of execution. So here P3 enters. Here P3 enters. But what about the execution of current process? It is going to be continued because here we are not going to give any option because the algorithm is there for the once the time allocated, the predefined time slot is allocated for that process, it is the system is going to wait for completion of that current process. In between, it won't be pre-emitted because once the time slot, predefined time slot is allocated, it won't be disturbed. That is the round robin. Because round robin nothing but immediately after that time slot, the new process or whatever with the previous preempted process is going to be scheduled immediately. So P1 is not going to be pre-emitted in this round robin till completion of its predefined allocated slot, predefined allocated time slice. So P1 is going to complete its process at 6 milliseconds. So what is going to happen in the queue? When P1 is executing, P1 entered at 5th millisecond. Therefore, the next scheduling is meant for P3. Therefore, P3 is going to continue after P1. So another new process, P4, which is equal to 3 milliseconds, enters. Once the P3 is entered, once again, it is not going to complete its process for 7 milliseconds, whatever, even though it is allocated for 7 milliseconds. But what is the condition in the round robin? It is once again rescheduled for what? The time slice of 2 milliseconds. So P3 is also going to execute only for 2 milliseconds, from 6 to 8 milliseconds. So what is the another problem? In the problem statement, we are going to observe another new process P4 with the completion time of 3 milliseconds enters the ready queue after 8 milliseconds of execution. So what is going to happen? After 8 milliseconds, which one is allocated? P3, then it is P1 once again. So what is going to happen here? So instead of next process, previous preempted process, here the time is given for P4. So P4 is going to, because at 8th millisecond, which one is entered in the queue? It is P4 only. So P4 is scheduled for execution from 8th to 10th millisecond. Even though it has 3 milliseconds, but the time predefined time slice is 2 milliseconds. So therefore, the 2 milliseconds allocated for P4. After that, what is going to happen? We are going to observe this one. Then, when the time slice is expired for P4, it is pre-emitted. Now, the order of ready queue, it is P1, P2, P3, and P4 for their remaining time of execution. So, what is going to happen after P4, after 10th millisecond? After 10th millisecond, the order for these executions is P1, P2, P3, P4 with predefined 2 millisecond time slice. So we are going to observe the scheduler will continue to execute all processes for their completion. How? It will be like this. After P1, P4, P1, after P1, P2, after P2, P3, after P3, P4. If anything is left, once again, it is a round robin loop will be there. After P4, P1 is there. After P1, P2 once again. After P2, P3. Because what is the overall time period? Execution time for each process. So P1, 8 milliseconds, nothing but 4 time slots. You can observe here 4 time slots. 1, 2, 3, and 4 means 4 into 2. It is 8 milliseconds. What about P2? P2 is having 6 milliseconds for completion. So how many time slots? 3 time slots. So 1, 2, and 3. What about P3? So P3 is having 7 milliseconds. Nothing but what? 3.5. P3 is having 3.5. We can observe 1, 2. What about third time slot? It is going to take its own 3 because there is no further process to execute. It is the last process to be executed. So it is going to complete by taking complete scheduler time. So from 21 to 24, the remaining time. So here it is 2, first time slot, second time slot is 2, that is 4, remaining time is 3 milliseconds. So that is taken completely by P3 at the end. Then what about P4? P4 is the completion time is 3 milliseconds. So it is going to take how much? 1.5. So you can observe here P4 is 2 milliseconds, then 1 millisecond. Okay, so this one is the step-by-step execution of system for completion of available processes in the ready queue using round robin method. Oh, this one is clear to all. Let us go for the calculation of waiting time and turnaround time. So the calculation of waiting time and turnaround time will be what? Based on this execution diagram itself. So go for it. So the waiting time here, P1, 4 time slots, 4 different time slots we are going to observe. So how much time it has waited? So at the beginning, P1 at the beginning. So no waiting time. Once it is came, immediately started its execution for predefined time slice, that is 2 milliseconds. After that, it is preempted and it has to wait for its turn. Okay, so number of slice, so those many times it has to wait. So by having these calculations, here we are going to observe P1 started execution time first, hence it is 0 millisecond waiting time, first slice, second slice. It is interrupted by P2 at 2 millisecond. It is interrupted by P2 at 2 millisecond. So therefore, it is overall waiting time is how much? 4 minus 2. Means waiting for P2. That is 2 milliseconds. So it is 4 minus 2. Then once again, it is interrupted by P3 at 6 millisecond. So it is 6 millisecond, nothing but what? It is started at 10th millisecond minus when it was emitted at, it is at 6th millisecond. So it is 10 minus 6. Then the last term, once again, it is preempted by P2 at 12th millisecond. So 12th millisecond, nothing but what? It is beginning at 17th millisecond, but it has previous completion time, it was 12th millisecond. So it is 17 minus 12. It is total waiting time here. So once when it turn comes, so that duration is known as what? Waiting time. So here it is 17 minus 12. So overall waiting time is how much? It is sum of all waiting time, it is nothing but 11 milliseconds. 11 milliseconds for P1. Similarly, what about P2? What about P2? Let us go for P2. So P2 starts execution after P1. So that is the first time slice. So it is started at 2 milliseconds. So that comes the waiting time 2 milliseconds. Then it is interrupted by P1 at 4th millisecond. So it is interrupted by P1 at 4th millisecond. So it is going to interrupt what? 12. It is beginning at 12 and it waiting for second iteration. For second iteration, this is overall waiting time. P1, P3, P4, P1 has to complete their process. Then the P2 term comes. Not only this one, another waiting time is there. You can observe in the image itself. So after it is completed, the given time slice, once again it has to wait for its turn. When its turn comes after completion of P3, P4 and P1. So how much time it is? 2 millisecond plus 1 millisecond plus 2 millisecond. Or you may say it is 19 minus 14. Okay, so it is started time 19 minus 14. Sorry, it is not 14, it is, okay, yes, it is waiting time. It is 19 minus 14. It is, or it is 5 milliseconds. Okay, so maybe there is small time it is, it should be 19 minus 14. 19 minus 14 it should be. So 19 minus 14 is the answer. So what is the overall waiting time here it is? Here it is waited for, sorry, here it is, not this one. On this one, it is what? It is, once again, it is 12 minus 4, then it is 19 minus 14. So overall waiting time for P2 it is 15 milliseconds. 15 milliseconds. Then go for the same calculation for P3. So P3, what about here? P3. P3 enters at 5th millisecond, but starts executing after completion of P1 at 6 milliseconds. So what is the overall time period? So P3 entered at the 5th millisecond here during this time, but it is waited for minimum 1 millisecond to complete P1. So here it is what? 6 minus 5, that is 1 millisecond. This is the answer. Then after P3, when next term comes, it is waited for these many time slices for completion of P4, P1 and P2. So what is the time period? It is 14 minus 8. 14 minus 8. So that is nothing but what? The completion period of P4, P1 and P2. So overall time it is 14 minus 8. Next, once again it is interrupted and it is waiting for its next turn. What is the next turn? It is 21 minus 16. 21 minus 16. That is completion time period for P4, P1 and P2. That is 2 plus 2 plus 1. That is 5 milliseconds. So overall waiting time for P3 it is 1 plus 14 minus 8 plus 21 minus 16. It is 12 milliseconds. 12 milliseconds it has waited for execution. Then the last one is P4. P4 enters at 8 milliseconds and start executing after completion of P3. So P4 enters at 8 milliseconds and it is going to start executing immediately. And in the first iteration, it is 0 waiting time. What about next iteration? Yes, it has waited for what? Completion of P1, P2 and P3. You can observe in the image. So what is the time period? Waiting time. It is 10 to 16. That is nothing but 16 minus 10. 10 to 16. Nothing but 16 minus 10. So overall answer it is what? 6 milliseconds waiting time. Therefore, we are going to get the waiting time for each process P1 11, P2 15, P3 12, P4 it is 6 milliseconds. So total waiting time it is 44. The average waiting time it is 11 milliseconds. Any process has to wait minimum 11 milliseconds. Okay, minimum 11 milli on an average. Then the turnaround time when the process is going to complete. By seeing the diagram, we may guess, because it is not complete. Each process is not completed when it is scheduled. It has the splits. Okay, because it is a round robin. Each process has equal time to complete. Therefore, the turnaround time for P1, it is what? Waiting time plus execution time. Waiting time plus execution time. By having that calculation, we have P1 for 19, P2. So it is waiting time, means previous table, plus as per the execution time. Both sum of both values, it is the turnaround time. So P1 is 19 milliseconds, P2 23 milliseconds, P3 19, P4 9 milliseconds. So overall, the sum of all turnaround time it is 70. Therefore, the average turnaround time it is 17.5 milliseconds. Any process is going to take on an average 17.5 milliseconds to complete its process. The last one, it is priority based. Here, based on the priority, the system is going to execute processes which are available in the ready queue. Now look at that step. At the beginning, once again, have a fresh look at the problem statement. At the beginning, there are only two processes, P1, 8 milliseconds. We have mentioned in the problem statement what are the priorities in the third case. So P1 is 8 milliseconds with priority 1, P2 is 6 milliseconds with priority 0 available in the ready queue. So here the processor is going to schedule, the system is going to schedule based on priority. Now tell me which one is the highest priority. Highest priority is 0 to above. Okay, highest to lowest is nothing from 0 to next number. So priority 0 is the highest one. Priority 1 is the lower priority than that of priority 0. So here P2 executed first, P1 next. So the scheduler picks up the processor with the process with highest priority. In this case, it is P2 with priority 0 for scheduling. So we are going to observe, yes, P2 is started its execution first and it is going to complete its task. Here there is no preemption. Preemption comes only when if the process has highest priority compared to current running process. Current running process. So as per the beginning, scheduler has the idea of execution of P2 first, then P1. Then what is going to happen? A new process P3 of completion time of 7 milliseconds with priority 3 enters the ready queue after 5 milliseconds start of execution. Now tell me whether P1 is executed at this time. P3 enters. What about P2? Is going to be preempted? No, because P2 is the highest priority, that is 0 compared to 3, priority 0 and priority. So priority 0 is more higher, therefore P2 is going to continue its execution. Now after completion of P2, once again the scheduler is going to check after completion of P2. At this moment, once again the processor is going to check which task process to be executed, either P1 or P3 based on priority. So which one is the highest priority, P1 or P3? P1 is having priority 1, P3 is having priority 3. Which one is highest? Priority 1 is highest. Therefore, P1 won't be preempted. P2 is not preempted by P3 due to lower priority process compared to P2, also compared to P1. So there is no interrupt for execution of the current running process by the system. Hence, P3 is scheduled after P1. So after P1, P3 is going to be executed. Clear? Because P2 is highest priority compared to P1. P1 has highest priority compared to P3. Next, what happens? A new process P4 with 3 milliseconds having a priority of 2 enters the ready queue after 8 milliseconds. Means, now let me erase all the inks. So here at this duration, P4 enters. At this time period, P4 enters. Now, what is the condition of the scheduler? Whether interrupt P1
सर कॉलेज ही हो गया ना सर नಮ್ದು ಚಲೋ ಆಯ್ತು ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಒಟ್ಟು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಂದಿ ಹಾಕಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಾರ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕ
ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ
Okay, it is a small disturbance. So it is a new process. P4 enters at 8 millisecond of execution of start of execution, but scheduler is going to decide based on priority. So here P1 has priority 1 and P4 has priority 2. What is going to happen? Whether P1 is going to be preempted at 8 millisecond? No. P1 is allowed to complete its process. So P1 is not preempted by P4 due to lower priority process compared to P1, but put higher priority compared to P3. Now we can observe after completion of P1, what is going to happen here? P3 is going to be pre-emitted. It is not going to be executed because P3 is having priority 3 and P4 is having priority 2. Which one is highest now? P4 is highest now. Therefore, P3 is rescheduled. P3 is rescheduled. So hence P4 is scheduled for after P1 and P3 is rescheduled after P4. Therefore, we can observe here P3 is going to be rescheduled after P4. So after completion of P1, P4 is going to take scheduler system execution time. Then it is going to complete its process. Later, P3 is going to execute its process. So this is the overall scheduling technique for the processes in priority-based scheduling. So this one is clear to you. Let us go for calculating the waiting time and turnaround time. So let us have the execution image. So here the first P2, then P1, then P4, then P3, the respective time periods. Let us go for the waiting time P2. P2, sorry, it is P2. P2 starts executing immediately on entering the ready queue. Yes, there is no waiting time. So P2 has 0 millisecond. What about P1? P1 has to wait for completion of P2. So it is 6 millisecond. P4. P4 has to wait for when it is entered plus waited. So it is entered at 8 millisecond. So how much time it is waited? It is, what is the completion time for P1? It is 14th millisecond. 14 minus 8. So it is 6 millisecond. So what about P3? P3 is started its execution at 17th millisecond, but it is entered in the queue at 5th millisecond. Here it is entered P3, but it is how long it is waited? It is from 5th millisecond to 17th millisecond. It has waited up to 5th millisecond to 17th. That is difference of both timing. It is 17 minus 5. It is 12 millisecond is the waiting time for P3. So what is the overall waiting time? It is 24. Total it is 24. So on an average, so average waiting time for any process, it is 24 by 4. It is 6 millisecond. 6 millisecond. Next comes it is when the process is going to complete, it is waiting time plus execution time. So P2 has 6 milliseconds, P1 14 milliseconds, P4 9 milliseconds, and P3 it is 19 milliseconds. That is waiting time plus execution time. So in the previous table we have waiting time for each process. Plus we also in the problem statement we know its execution time. So sum of both numbers it is turnaround time. So the total turnaround time for all process from all processes is 48 milliseconds. So on an average it is 12 milliseconds for any process. So average turnaround time it is 12 milliseconds. So this one is the solution for the same problem statement using 3 task scheduling techniques. Okay, hope it is clear to you. So if you have any small mistakes in your assignment, you just hope you are going to correct it.